Reverend Al Sharpton is complaining that Trump has so far not named any black cabinet members. I think only a couple are left, so it reportedly, Ben Carson is dispelling rumors that he's joining the White House as the Surgeon General. Doesn't say that he was offered the position. He says he's not going to join the White House as Surgeon General, which suggests to me that he was offered the position and turned it down. Now, what gets me about people like Al Sharpton, where was he when Ben Carson was being denounced as a sellout? Where was he when Condi Rice, Colin Powell were called members of the Master's House by Harry Belafonte? Remember that? And the cartoonist named Aaron Boondocks referred to Condi Rice as a murderer because of her role in the Iraq War. Where was Al Sharpton then? See, here's the problem. You are conservative and you're black. You're going to be denounced as an Uncle Tom. Meanwhile, people like Al Sharpton, who criticize Ben Carson, are demanding that Donald Trump appoint more black people to his administration at top-level positions, people that he will no doubt later on denounce as sellouts. For example, Benny Thompson was the chair of the January 6th committee, and in an interview with CNN's Dana Bash, he referred to Clarence Thomas, then the only black member of the U.S. Supreme Court, as an Uncle Tom. Number 33.
Clarence Thomas saying that he was an Uncle Tom. What did you mean by that?
Well, if you look at his decisions on the court, they have been adverse to the minority community, and the people I represent have a real issue with an African American not being sensitive to those issues.
Calling him an Uncle Tom, though, isn't that a racially charged term?
For some it is, but to others it's the truth.
Because, looking at that and hearing that kind of language, that certainly wouldn't be, appropriate if it was coming from somebody who was white.
But I'm black.
So it makes it okay?
Well, I mean, you asked me the question, and I'm giving you the response.
So that makes it okay? Well, you asked me the question, so I'm giving you a response. The question is, does that make it okay? Meanwhile, Al Sharpton is telling Joe Scarborough, who trekked down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss Donald Trump's ring, you should ask Trump why there are no blacks nominated to his cabinet. Number 14.
And there were not as many as I thought that said, why would you and Mika meet with Donald Trump? He's going to be the president. If you can meet with him, meet with him. That, to me, is no different than when people said to me, why would Kamala Harris go talk to Brett Baer? So on one side, she can talk to Brett Baer, but on the other side, he shouldn't come on Morning Joe. I don't think we've got an equal judgment here, because I think all sides need to be talking to all sides. Now, that's not my role. Donald Trump called me after he won the first time. I wouldn't meet with him because I felt that it would be a photo op and he promoted wrongly, even though we should be discussing issues, and we have talked on the phone since then. But I know he's a promoter. If he'd been born black, he'd have been Don King. That's what he does well. But I think that what we need to do is deal with the issues that's going to impact people. I would say, I hope in your conversations, we should ask Donald Trump. You talked about black men would be with you. Where's a black man being nominated by you?
Couple things. He said that's no different than Brett Baer meeting with Kamala Harris. Brett Baer did not call Kamala Harris a fascist or a tyrant or suggest that she no longer had the mental ability to do what she does. And calling Donald Trump a promoter by Al Sharpton, if you look up the word chutzpah in the dictionary, you'll find a big picture of Al Sharpton smiling. This is a guy who became famous, as we've discussed before, by calling a white man, Stephen Bergonis, a rapist of Tawana Brawley. And when one of Al Sharpton's henchmen felt guilty and started talking about what was going on, he admitted that Al Sharpton knew she was lying, didn't care whether she was lying, and said that once this goes down, we're going to be the baddest N-words in America. He did it to, wait for it, promote himself. And now he's criticizing Donald Trump as being a promoter. Okay, finish the rest of it.
I think that what we need to do is deal with the issues that's going to impact people. I would say, I hope in your conversations, we should ask Donald Trump. You talked about black men would be with you. Where's a black man being nominated by you for your cabinet? Has anyone noticed there's no black that has been nominated on his cabinet? That needs to be raised.
Right.
Rather than who's talking, let's deal with what we're talking about.
Now, you have no idea how many people have been offered positions and said no. That's point one. Point number two, do you need to have a black person in the cabinet in order to address the important issues facing the country? You had back-to-back black secretaries of state under George W. Bush. Did you approve of the Bush administration, Mr. Sharpton? You had Colin Powell, you had Connie Rice. Did it make any difference as far as how you perceived the Bush administration? You still criticized them. Still said they were anti-black. And as I said before, if you are a black conservative, it's open season. People like Al Sharpton criticize Byron Donalds. We'll have that for you next segment. The View criticized Clarence Thomas. I think it was Joy Reid referred to Clarence Thomas as Uncle Clarence. So please, the idea that all of a sudden, unless you have a black person in the cabinet, you are somehow ignoring black people, and when they do, then what? Then what? You remember when the poll suggested that about 20% of black men might support Donald Trump? What did Obama say? They were sexist. So it doesn't matter. You want a sexist appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet? Barack Obama called them sexist for not supporting Kamala Harris. You can't win. You don't perceive black people as individuals. You perceive black people as members of a group. They depart from that group, then suddenly they're sellouts.